In the Kingdom of Luminara, every unicorn was born with a horn that could make rainbows, not the big sky-filling rainbows that appear after rain. Those belonged to the clouds and the sun and were nobody's to claim. The unicorn rainbows were smaller and more particular, a single bright arc of color that a unicorn could produce from the tip of their horn whenever they chose, and which served one specific and important purpose: the Rainbow Bridge. The Rainbow Bridge was the only way to cross from the main valley of Luminara to the Enchanted Meadow on the other side of the Silver River. Do you know what a river is? A river is a large natural stream of water that flows continuously, and the Silver River in Luminara was wide and deep and fast moving, and no unicorn could cross it by any means except the Rainbow Bridge. And the Rainbow Bridge was not a fixed thing. It was not built of stone or wood. It appeared only when a unicorn touched their horn to a special crystal at the valley's edge and breathed out a rainbow. The rainbow became the bridge, solid underfoot shimmering, holding for exactly as long as it took every unicorn to cross, and then dissolving back into light. Every unicorn could do this. They learned it young, the way other creatures learn to walk or swim. You touched your horn to the crystal, you breathed, the rainbow came, the bridge appeared, every unicorn except one. Princess Starlight was the only unicorn in the history of Luminara whose horn had broken. Not missing, broken. The lower two-thirds of her horn were intact, pale gold fading to silver, with a natural spiral, slightly luminous the way all unicorn horns were. But the top third was gone, broken off cleanly at a diagonal angle long ago, healed over with time, the broken edge smooth and rounded, no longer sharp. The break had happened when she was very small, and no one talked about it anymore, and she had grown up the way you grow up around a thing that is simply true. It is there, it does not go away, and eventually you stop expecting it to. Her coat was pure white with a faint silver shimmer. Her mane and tail were pale lavender and silver white. Her eyes were large and violet and warm, and they looked at things carefully, the way the eyes of someone who has learned to watch tend to look. She could not make rainbows. She had tried many times when she was younger. She touched her horn to the crystal and breathed, and what came out was not a rainbow. It was a soft, warm, golden white light, like an ember, like a small, steady flame that pulsed gently and then faded. No arc, no color, no bridge. The other young unicorns could all cross to the Enchanted Meadow whenever they pleased. The meadow was, well, enchanted. The grass there was greener than anywhere else, and the flowers bloomed in colors that had no names, and the air smelled of something sweet and clean that you could not find anywhere else in the world. Most unicorns spent at least part of every day there. It was where the best things happened. Starlight had never been. Her best friend was a unicorn named Cleo, who had a bright aquamarine coat and a horn that made the most perfect rainbows in the whole valley. Clear, vivid, every color exactly right. Cleo could have been friends with any unicorn in Luminara. She chose Starlight and considered this an extremely good decision and said so regularly. Cleo would sometimes stand at the crystal with Starlight and not cross to the meadow, choosing to stay on the valley side instead. Starlight told her she did not have to do that. Cleo said she knew that. She stayed anyway. This was the kind of friend Cleo was. There was also a unicorn named Blaze. Large, dark gold coat, a magnificent horn that produced deep red and orange rainbows, who did not say unkind things about Starlight's broken horn directly, but had a way of looking at it and then looking away that said everything he chose not to say out loud. Starlight had decided the kindest way to handle Blaze was to simply not spend time near him, which was going well enough. The elder unicorn who watched over the Kingdom of Luminara was named Solara. She was the oldest unicorn anyone could remember. Silver coat, silver mane, silver horn, silver eyes, entirely silver, as if the years had drained all other color from her. Her horn was intact and perfect, and she had crossed the rainbow bridge more times than she could count. She was kind to Starlight with the particular, careful kindness of someone who has watched a situation for a long time and knows something that has not happened yet. On the morning the bridge broke, Starlight was in her usual place, the eastern bank of the Silver River, watching the water. She had a habit of coming here. She told Cleo it was because she liked the sound of the river. This was true. She also came because from this spot she could see the far bank and the edge of the Enchanted Meadow beyond it. And looking at a thing you cannot have is its own strange, complicated comfort. It happened without warning. There was a sound like a held note suddenly released, a pure high tone, very brief and then silence, and the crystal at the valley's edge, the large rose-pink crystal that every unicorn touched to make their rainbow, cracked. Not a small crack, a split straight through the center, and then the two halves fell apart, and the rose-pink light that had lived in the crystal for 100 years went out. Starlight saw it happen from the riverbank. She stood very still for a moment. Then she ran. By the time she reached the crystal, other unicorns were already arriving. Cleo was there, aquamarine coat bright with alarm, her perfect rainbow-making horn completely useless because the crystal was gone. Blaze arrived and stared at the broken halves and breathed his deep orange rainbow at the empty air, and the bridge did not appear. Without the crystal to anchor it, the rainbow had nothing to hold to and dissolved. 3 other unicorns tried. Same result. The rainbow needed the crystal. The crystal was broken. Elder Solara arrived last, moving with her usual, unhurried silver dignity. She looked at the two halves of the broken crystal for a long time. She said in her quiet voice that nonetheless always reached exactly as far as it needed to, that no unicorn would be able to cross the Silver River until the crystal was repaired. She said that the crystal was old magic, and she did not know how to repair it. She said they would need to find a way. The valley went quiet with the particular weight of a problem nobody knows how to solve. Starlight stood at the edge of the group. She had been looking at the broken crystal halves. The rose-pink stone split precisely in two, both pieces lying in the grass where they had fallen, the faint rose light completely gone from them. She was looking at the clean diagonal line of the break. She had seen a break like that before. She had seen it every morning of her life. She walked forward, past Cleo and Blaze and the other unicorns to the broken crystal. Everyone watched her. She could feel them watching. She stood before the two broken halves. She touched her broken horn to the left half, the lower half, the larger piece, the piece still sitting mostly upright in the grass. What came out was not a rainbow. It was the soft, warm, golden white light. The ember light, the small, steady pulse that had never made a bridge for anyone, that she had stopped trying to make into something it was not. The light went into the crack in the crystal. Everyone watched. Nothing happened for a moment. Then, slowly, something that was not nothing began. The rose-pink light in the crystal, the light that had gone out, began to return. Not all at once. Slowly, like a fire catching from a single ember. One small point of rose light, then two, then a line of it following the crack. The golden white light from Starlight's broken horn flowing into the break the way water finds the lowest path, filling every fracture. Do you know what a fracture is? A fracture is a crack or a break in something that was whole. It is the word for the line between the broken pieces, and Starlight's light was filling every fracture in the crystal, finding every hairline crack, every tiny fissure that the break had made. The crystal hummed. The rose-pink glow spread. The two halves drew together, not quickly, not dramatically, but steadily, the way a healed thing comes back together, with patience and with time and from the inside out. The crystal sealed. Not perfectly. There was still a faint line where the break had been, a slight unevenness at the join, the evidence of what had happened and been mended. But the rose-pink light was back, burning steadily in the crystal's center, whole and warm and clear. Blaze stepped forward. He touched his dark gold horn to the mended crystal and breathed. A deep red and orange rainbow arc rose from the crystal and curved across the silver river and touched the far bank and became solid, and the rainbow bridge was there again, shimmering and whole. The valley was very quiet. Elder Solara walked to Starlight. She looked at her for a long moment with her silver eyes, the eyes that had been watching things for a very long time and knew something was coming before it arrived. She said slowly that she had always suspected the horn that could not make rainbows was the one the kingdom would most need. She said she had not known in what way, only that broken things carry knowledge that whole things do not. She said the fracture in Starlight's horn had taught it exactly how fractures heal, and that was the one knowledge the crystal had needed. She paused. She said that Starlight could cross now if she wished. Starlight looked at the rainbow bridge, Blaze's deep red and orange arc, solid and shimmering over the silver river. She looked at the enchanted meadow on the other side, visible and real and finally reachable. She had been looking at that far bank from the river's edge her whole life. Cleo appeared at her shoulder. She said quietly that she had been saving up quite a lot of things to show Starlight about the meadow. She said she had a particular flower to introduce her to, and she had been waiting a long time to do it. Starlight looked at her friend. She felt something that was not complicated at all. It was simple and warm and long overdue. She walked forward onto the rainbow bridge. The bridge held her as it had always held every unicorn who crossed it. It was solid and warm, and the light of it came up through her hooves in rose and gold and violet, and the silver river ran below, and the enchanted meadow was ahead, and she walked across it with Cleo at her side, and the broken part of her horn catching the light the way it always had, not making rainbows, simply being what it was, and that it turned out had always been enough.